So, if you've been following election news over the past couple days, you may have seen a headline about a back and forth between Donald Trump's campaign and Joe Biden's campaign about whether or not or in what way we'll be having debates before the votes are cast. And this was really brought to a head just a couple days ago when we saw this report come out that the commission has rejected Donald Trump campaign's request for debates in early September. Now, the background behind this is basically that earlier in the week we saw a number of reports start coming out. This is just one example coming out talking about how Joe Biden should consider ducking the debates and talking about how there are growing calls to shield the former VP from having to perform in the debates. Now, obviously, the reason why some strategists are thinking that this is a good idea is because you look at the polls right now, Joe Biden is significantly ahead in the polls. In fact, right now, Donald Trump is seeing his support erode among hardcore GOP states, which is to say GOP states which, last time around went for Donald Trump with over 15 points. Even those states are starting to see that lead for Donald Trump really begin to chip away. And that, of course, is leading to a situation where a lot of strategists are looking at the facts on the ground and saying, well, should Joe Biden even debate? Because if he debates, there's always that possibility of something going wrong. There's a possibility of a mistake being made. There's a possibility of Joe Biden slipping up, saying the wrong thing. I mean, we've seen so many different headlines of Joe Biden saying weird things, Joe Biden going off track, Joe Biden not looking like the leader that a lot of Americans want at this particular moment. And so a lot of people are arguing that Joe Biden should just skip the debates altogether. And so, of course, Donald Trump's campaign fired back immediately, basically saying, we want to have the debates. This is not negotiable. We want to have the debates. Although then we saw this other interesting headline come out saying that the Biden campaign has already agreed to the debates, but the Trump campaign has not. Now, this is, typical sort of campaign back and forth blows. Who knows whether or not or in what way this is really true. But then Donald Trump's campaign coming out saying that it wants a fourth debate with Biden added, and it wants it to be early. It wants it to be in early September. Now, of course, the reason for this, they argue, they say people are going to be mailing in their ballots way earlier than usual. In fact, if we have a debate in early September, that'll be around the time when some people in some of the earliest states start getting their ballots. Some of the states which send their ballots out the earliest, that'll be around the time when they're getting their ballots. So shouldn't we have a debate around that time? In fact, honestly, that actually does sound relatively reasonable. In fact, in general, if you're asking me whether or not we should add debates to the calendar, I think that's generally a good thing. Now, do I think that that has the possibility of hurting Joe Biden? Yeah, absolutely. Of course, yeah. It has the possibility of, it can really only help Donald Trump given the situation that he's in. However, I also think that adding debates, adding more opportunities for people to see contrast between candidates, I'm always on the side of saying that that's probably a good thing, right? I mean, of course, yes, you could come to extremes where it gets too far and it goes too much, but we have three debates, and I think that we should probably have a few more debates. In fact, this is something that I've always thought. We don't have enough debates for the candidates. I think that, debates, especially if you can have specified debates, which are, debates about specific topics. Maybe they're and you allow the candidates to elaborate more, go into more detail about particular issues. Then I do think that that would be more beneficial. Part of the reason why our debates are so unproductive in this country is because they go over so many different topics and we have so few of them. So in general, in principle, I'm going to say that adding a debate is a good thing. However, I completely acknowledge that it can really only help Donald Trump's campaign. And so, of course, this is what the Donald Trump campaign is running out about. They're talking about how important it is to have more debates. And again, this report out how the commission had rejected Donald Trump's request, basically saying that there's no reason for it because of the fact that, so voters may get their mail-in ballots, but that doesn't mean that they're going to send in their mail-in ballots right away. Nonetheless, though, again, I do think that one of the things that we are seeing right now from the Joe Biden campaign is they do recognize immediately the optics of it, right? They recognize that the optics of saying that you're afraid to debate is not good optics. So they came out and immediately said, as we saw in that headline there, yeah, we want to debate. In fact, the Donald Trump campaign, they're the ones who haven't even accepted the debates, but we have. So, some of that stuff, it's hard to verify. It's hard to know exactly what they mean by accept the debates. Like that, that stuff is too fuzzy, but it's clear the messaging that they're trying to send, right? The messaging of it is clear, which is, of course, they want to respond by saying, no, we do want to debate. We are tough to debate. However, again, we did see those multiple reports coming out earlier this week talking about how the Joe Biden campaign, or at least a number of strategists within the Joe Biden campaign, are wary on the possibility of debates. And so they've been sort of behind the scenes. They've been like sort of behind the scenes making pressure saying, yeah, okay, we do want to have the debates, but if the debates fall through for various other kinds of reasons, well, we're not really going to do too much about that. For instance, we saw two universities now, Notre Dame, and I think the University of Michigan. I'm not quite sure whether or not it was the University of Michigan, but I know it was Notre Dame. At least two universities now have already, who were going to be hosting debates, came out saying, actually, we don't want to host the debates. We think that even with the best precautions put in place, it's still dangerous in terms of the coronavirus, so we don't want to be the ones hosting the debate. And of course, the Joe Biden campaign isn't really fighting them on this issue, whereas the Donald Trump campaign is fighting them on that issue, saying, yeah, you should hold the debate, et cetera, trying to put the pressure where they can in order to make sure the debates happen where they happen, when they happen, and that all that stuff is pre-publicized. People know well in advance so they get as much viewership, et cetera, because again, when you look at the polls right now, the only person who debates can help right now is Donald Trump. Even if Donald Trump comes out and does a terrible job, which of course is very, very likely, very, very possible, it can really only help him because where he is right now is just so low in the polls that even just that possibility, that shuffle there, is a risk with which the Donald Trump campaign wants to take, in which the Joe Biden campaign says, well, we're doing really good right now. Maybe we should just hold our bets right now. Maybe we should just say, I don't want to take as many gambles. I don't want to gamble too much at this point because we're so far ahead. We should just try to hold this lead that we have right now as much as possible. So that's some of the internal dynamics that we're seeing when it comes to this debate stuff, and why the Joe Biden campaign, still wants to be seen like they want to debate, but simultaneously isn't putting any pressure against the commission, right? They're not sending in petitions for more debates. They're not sending in petitions for how they want the debates to be. They're hoping that things fall through, as it did in the case with the universities, and again, as it did with the case with the commission. We also saw that when this report with the commissions came out, the Trump campaign is following back up with it. The Joe Biden campaign, they're not saying anything, right? Because they don't want that fourth debate. They don't want that extra debate to be held in early September because they know, of course, that any chance, any opportunity right there is just an opportunity for things to go wrong. And it might not, right? It might not. I mean, I would bet that Joe Biden's probably going to have a few stumbles, and I'll bet that Donald Trump is probably going to have a few stumbles. But even in that case, there is still, of course, that possibility where Joe Biden has more to lose than does Donald Trump at this point. Because again, you look at the polls right now, Joe Biden is in the position to win, so why would he really try to gamble with that? It just kind of makes sense. Even though, again, personally, I kind of disagree with that because I think that we should be having more debates and more opportunities for Americans to learn about the policies and see the contrast more clearly. And again, I think more debates are the best way to go with that. All right, you guys, that's the video. If you liked it, I'd really appreciate it if you'd hit the like button and consider subscribing. Thanks.